We want freedom by any means necessary. We want justice by any means necessary. We want equality by any means necessary. We want it now, or we don't think anybody should have it.
So whatever kind of action program can be devised to get us the things that are ours by right, then I'm for that kind of action no matter what the action is. I don't think when a man is being criminally treated that some criminal has the right to tell that man what tactics to use to get the criminal off his back. When a criminal starts misusing me, I am going to use whatever necessary to get that criminal off my back. And the injustice that has been inflicted upon Negroes in this country by Uncle Sam is criminal. Don't blame a cracker in Georgia for your injustices. The government is responsible for the injustices. The government can bring these injustices to halt. And what you and I have to let the man know is we are peaceful people. We are loving people. We love everybody who loves us. But we don't love anybody who doesn't love us. We're nonviolent with people who are nonviolent with us. But we are not nonviolent with anyone who is violent with us.
But when someone attacks you, when someone comes at you with a club, when someone comes at you with a rope, when someone comes at you with a gun, despite the fact that you've done nothing, he tells you, suffer peacefully. Pray for those who use you despitefully. Be long-suffering. And how long can you suffer after suffering for 400 years? The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. And as Muslims, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to respect our women and to protect our women. And the only time a Muslim really gets real violent is when someone goes to molest his woman. We will kill you for our woman. I'm making it plain, yes. We will kill you for our woman. We believe that if the white man will do whatever is necessary to see that his woman gets respect and protection, then you and I will never be recognized as men until we stand up like men and place the same penalty over the head of anyone who puts his filthy hands out to put in the direction of our women. That whenever a people come to the conclusion that the government which they have supported proves itself unwilling or proves itself unable to protect our lives and protect our property because we have the wrong color skin, we are not human beings unless we ourselves band together and do whatever, however, whenever is necessary to see that our lives and our property is protected. And I doubt that any person in here would refuse to do the same thing were he in the same position. I'm speaking as a black man from America, which is a racist society. No matter how much you hear it talk about democracy, it's as racist as South Africa or as racist as Portugal or as racist as any other racialist society on this earth. The only difference between it and South Africa preaches separation and practices separation. America preaches integration and practices segregation. This is the only difference. They don't practice what they preach, whereas South Africa preaches and practices the same thing. I have more respect for
have agreed that America
a man who lets me know where he stands, even if he's wrong, than the one who comes up like an angel and is nothing but a devil. And the only way we can bring about a change is to talk the kind of language, speak the language that they understand. The racialist never understands a peaceful language. The racialist never understands the nonviolent language. The racialist, he's spoken his language to us for 400 years. We have been the victim of his brutality. We are the ones who face his dogs that tear the flesh from our limbs, only because we want to enforce the Supreme Court decision. We are the ones who have our skulls crushed not by the Ku Klux Klan, but by policemen, only because we want to enforce what they call the Supreme Court decision. We are the ones upon whom water hoses are turned with pressure so hard that it rips the clothes from our backs. Not men, but the clothes from the backs of women and children. You've seen it yourself. Only because we want to enforce what they call the law. Well, anytime you live in a society supposedly based upon law, and it doesn't enforce its own law because the color of a man's skin happens to be wrong, then I say those people are justified to resort to any means necessary to bring about justice where the government can't give them justice.
What is good, my people? We are live, back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. What's going on? How y'all doing? Shouts out to my brother Anthony in the building. Shouts out to my brother Jermaine in the building. Yeah, it's all good, my brother. It's all good. Um, First of all, y'all, I appreciate y'all for being here, And of course I know y'all already know it's Malcolm X's birthday. But I wanna cause I was supposed to come on here Friday, but I wasn't able to. But also, I want to pay homage to, my ancestors, you know what I'm saying? And it's a lot that I did. Friday was my grandmother's birthday, and she was born in 1921. So she would be 104 today, and this might be kind of crazy because this is an old live that I did, so it might sound like I'm talking now, but it's not me. It's me from a couple years ago. But I still wanted to play it just to pay homage to her. And shouts out to Raw, who was the only person in the chat back then. I definitely appreciate her. But I want to play this just, to honor my grandmother for her birthday. So shouts out to her. As we definitely got to keep their energy, their spirit, them alive. They are us. We are them. I appreciate that, my brother. All right, so this might seem kind of weird. I'll let y'all know when it's me now and when it's me then. But it's about to be me then. I'm gonna just play it. Yeah, so what I want to do, what I'm saying, I'm gonna show you, what I'm saying, my grandmother here. Because I'm gonna show homage to my grandma. All right. So here it is, 2014. That's when she passed away. Celine Kane, that's my grandmother. And she's from it's not exactly right, what I'm saying, but she's from Emporia, Virginia, which is a place, what I'm saying, which is a place where cotton still grows to this day, what I'm saying. So, and 2 years ago she turned 100, what I'm saying. And you see, she was born in 1921 in Emporia, Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Now, her story, it don't really hit home to me because there's a lot of lessons in all of this stuff. Because, I'm going to try to find a way to, make it worth it. You know what I'm saying? But it's lessons in all of this stuff, though. You know what I mean? It's we have to, like, her story is just crazy because, like, from when I was young, I wasn't old enough to really realize what she was saying, and then and another thing why I think that is important to have our own doctors and we encourage that stuff and we want to heal our community. Yo, what's going on, Blue? And let me know when you want the link. I'll let you come on. It's because my grandmother had Alzheimer's or whatever. So, in her last days, and of course, like anybody who's ever been around that knows what it's like, that'll encourage you to want to, change things. And then not only that, but while you're younger, eat healthier and make smarter decisions and exercise more, even though we don't always live up to the stuff that we want to do. You know what I'm saying? But that's another thing that we need to learn. But being born in 1921, I'm saying, their lives was completely different back then. You know what I'm saying? And she was on the small farm that I really don't even like to go to this day. You know what I'm saying? And they still kill pigs. They still kill their own pigs, and I think that's an experience that every young black person should have an experience doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there may come a time where you may have to do something like that. You know what I mean? So I think that you need experience in knowing how to do stuff to survive on your own. And they grew up with that kind of atmosphere where they still do that kind of stuff to this day. And it's crazy because like when she was like really young, I think like a teenager or really young, her brother, he actually died in a fire because they used to have like one of those wood stoves, like where the wood stuff come out, you know what I'm saying, where it's on fire, you know what I'm saying? And like one of her brothers, you know what I'm saying, I guess would be my great grand uncle or whatever, or not my great, but my grand uncle. But he died in the fire when he was like real young. And then it's crazy because the tombstone, like it don't really say the date, and the dates is all mixed up. There's no telling when they was like really born. But anyway, it's stories that she used to tell me, and let me show you. And this is another picture of my grandmother right here. You know what I'm saying? And like when I was young on the porch sitting there kicking it with her, you know what I'm saying? She used to tell me stories that now I realize the severity of them. You know what I mean? Like she used to have to walk to school, like miles to school and stuff like that, and walk home. But she lived in the country, like I said, where cotton is still growing. And she was like, every day these white boys would chase us. Now I'm still young at the time. You know what I mean? So I don't know no better. I'm thinking, oh, it's a game, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. But no, these white boys was chasing her home every single day, like, which is crazy. Like, and there's no telling what they really would have done or what could have happened or any of that. This is like, Emporia, Virginia in the 1920s, early 1930s. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't even realize the severity of like that situation when I was young, when she was telling me a lot of these stories, and I didn't realize how the world was that way. You know what I'm saying? And so like it's really crazy the stuff that she realized before I could. Like she was probably my age when she was telling me the story, because she only went up to the 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? She didn't go past the 5th grade, and of course they didn't do that. But like the thing is, once she got older, I think in her 18, 19, 20, around that age, my grandmother straight moved to Richmond. You know what I'm saying? And this was in the 1940s. You know what I'm saying? I guess she eventually met my grandfather, who had passed away before I was born. He was passed away in 1983. So he passed away before I was born. But everybody always like, oh, you just like him, and stuff like this. But she moved to Richmond or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And this is the thing, right? Because like I said, this is Richmond in 1940, you know what I'm saying? Like Emporia 1940, is she moving on her own out to, and it may or may not have been common, but the thing is, my grandmother, who was a woman and a black woman, she had several businesses, you know what I'm saying? Like, so she did several things. Now, it's one thing about this generational thing that's in there too, right? Because she also used to clean white people's house, you know what I'm saying? She from that generation, right? And it's interesting when I see my mom like does certain things, but she's like, yo, I'll never have a job where I clean somebody's house. You know what I'm saying? So that's interesting when I see like the generational change. And then it's certain things like we like, man, I would never do that, such and such. But like, like you'll never, but she was hustling and working for herself. So she got multiple businesses doing what she had to do, never like selling out or nothing like that, but she was just working for her money, you know what I'm saying? And I know that the life that she used to live, but like I said, I was too young for her to really put me on, and I wish I could have known better, because by the time I was like starting to get some sense, you know what I'm saying? Like she's kind of started getting Alzheimer's or whatever, you know what I mean? But in the 1940s, you know what I'm saying, she had her own businesses and all of this stuff, you know what I mean? And she came there and got it up from like the ground up, like straight made it happen. And if you look back at that time, right, like see, Richmond was popping back then, you know what I'm saying? Like for black people, right? You had all of these things that people have built, like, you know, like the stuff that Maggie L. Walker and them built was relatively new. Like if you ever come to Richmond, you still see a lot of that stuff, all the business district. And that's what I'm saying. You see the generational changes, and you can learn how to change the things from like each one, because the tactics are the same, but you know, they act like it's different or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So hold on, let me do this so I can even like take this off, right? So, you know, this is my grandmother here. It's like a young me, you know what I'm saying? Uh, you know, young me. I was super young. I don't know what's going on in the world, you know what I mean? But yeah, definitely, man. So shouts out to, you know, my grandmother right here, you know what I'm saying? Uh in 2014, you know. But, you know, the thing is, right? Okay, so this me now, right? So I'm gonna stop it right there. So yeah, man, I had definitely put that out there, man. Shouts out to my grandmother, and you know, RIP to her. She would have been 104 Friday, so definitely shouts out to her. Jermaine said he killed a deer and cleaned it and ate it. That's what's up. And see how relevant that is today now, huh? You can't say we didn't tell you, you know. But of course, y'all know that today is also Malcolm X's birthday. So, and you know, we play this brother.
I think you'll find, sir, that there will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves. Then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it. No federal court, state court, or city court will bring an end to it. It's something that the black man has to bring an end to himself.
You were involved in a controversy some months ago with your leader. Is that over?
Well, I've been silent for the past 90 days because of some statements I made concerning the President of the United States, which were distorted. They were distorted.
See, that's what happened. I made some comments about whoever was going to be the president. Ain't get distorted, I guess. Or they try to distort it. But the chickens come home to roost. It happens. What are you going to do? We should have been prepared for it. But the chickens come home to roost. And nope, they was like, I'm going to be like Elijah Muhammad. Like, no, don't say chickens come home to roost. But if something happened to me, then y'all going to turn around and say, see, the chickens came home to roost. Let me not go that way. Let me not go into that.
And yes.
What did you say, Malcolm?
Well, I said the same thing that everybody says, that his assassination was the result of the climate of hate. But only I said the chickens came home to roost, and which means the same thing. Climate of hate means that this is the result of something. And when I said chickens coming home to roost, chickens coming home to roost, I said the same thing.
But you did not say that you were glad the president was killed.
No, that's what the press said. What would I look like saying that I'm glad the president was killed?
Malcolm, this was your first public statement in that 90-day period, is it not?
First time I opened up my mouth in 90 days. That's why I'm talking so fast and so hot.
You feel, however, that we're making progress.
No. I will never say that progress is being made. Knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches. There's no progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull a knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
They won't even admit the knife is there while twisting the knife the whole time. And if I say chickens come home to roost, now everybody mad. You know, we talked about Malcolm X too. We did a super deep dive on this probably like 2 years ago too. So look up something I did on May the 19th, 2 years ago, probably, or 3 years, one of the two. And y'all can see that. But today we just gonna celebrate the brother here. I just picked a couple. I think this is a good one.
Building on the mighty life of El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, the revolutionary that you know as Malcolm X. We're going to look at his journey through the 4 pillars of the Uhuru Academy: knowledge, spirituality, freedom, and transformation. Let's get it. Malcolm's power started early. His father, Earl Little, was a bold Garveyite preacher, and his mother, Louise Little, was a strong, intelligent writer for the UNIA. They taught their children about Black pride, self-reliance, and our African greatness. But when white supremacy struck, when Earl was killed and Louise was institutionalized, Malcolm's world turned upside down. Even though he had top grades in school, when he told a teacher that he wanted to be a lawyer, he was told that's no job for an N-word. That crushed him. He dropped out, left Lansing, and ended up in the streets of Boston and Harlem, hustling, running numbers, and eventually he got locked up. But here's the thing, young warriors. The knowledge his parents gave him never died. It was buried, but it was there. In prison, something powerful happened. He found Islam through the Nation of Islam, and that spark ignited the seed his parents had already planted. Under the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm began to change. He stopped cursing, stopped eating pork, and started disciplining his mind and spirit. He didn't just pray, he put in work. My man read the entire dictionary, word for word, cover to cover. That's how serious he was. That's what we mean by spirituality at Uhuru Academy. It's not just belief, it's the daily grind to become your highest self. Once Malcolm got out, he walked like a free man because he had a purpose. Under the Nation of Islam, he became Minister Malcolm X, and he built hard. He helped establish or grow over 100 Nation of Islam mosques, and he turned Temple No. 7 in Harlem into a powerhouse of discipline, unity, and Black empowerment. He spoke to crowds across the country and didn't hold back. He told the raw truth about racism, police violence, and the mind games being played on our people. That's freedom. Not the kind where you do whatever you want, but the kind where you serve your people with courage, even when it's dangerous. Malcolm didn't just want to be free. He wanted to free others, and that's what we teach here at Uhuru. Malcolm's biggest shift came when he made Hajj, a pilgrimage to Mecca. That's when he became El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz. He traveled to Africa, met with leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, and began connecting the struggle of Black folks in America to the liberation of Africans worldwide. He founded the Organization of Afro-American Unity and Muslim Mosque Incorporated, calling for Pan-Africanism, Black nationalism, and African control of Black communities. Malcolm was no longer just a preacher. He became a world leader for African liberation. So let's remember, Malcolm lived the 4 pillars of the Uhuru Academy: knowledge from Earl and Louise Little and the UNIA, spirituality through Islam and fierce self-discipline, freedom earned through fearless truth-telling and nation-building, and transformation by connecting with Africa and stepping into global leadership. Look in the mirror, young scholar. You have that same power. It's time to rise up and live these principles.
All right, yo, shouts out to Raw in the building. Appreciate you coming through, Raw. Shouts out to Raw. And like I said, we just gonna play. We ain't gonna go too deep on it. Like we said, we already did like a deep dive on it. We just gonna pick some.
Fox 2 News at 6 starts now.
Tonight, it's the culmination of a project years in the making, and now in honor of what would be the 100th birthday of Malcolm X, a place he once called home in Inkster is close to being fully restored. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 2 News at 6. I'm Hillary Goulston.
And I'm Dave Spencer. Today, that very home is opening its doors for the public. Yeah, it has been a fascinating journey, to say the least, for this house right behind me on William Street in Inkster. Take a look at some video. Of course, we're talking about this house that Malcolm X lived in the early 1950s. Before he became Malcolm X, he was Malcolm Little, and he lived at this home here on William Street in Inkster.
Yeah, bro. I was just showing the video I did before about my grandmother, and you was the one in the chat, you know. So shouts out to you.
With his brother and his brother's wife and their family for a few years in the 1950s. This has been a absolutely historic piece of property that people have not known about. But a couple years ago, some guys got together, they started a nonprofit, and they bought this property and they started to restore it. They got grants. This is on the historical site, list of registry of properties on the.
And the thing is, man, the problem with this type of stuff is, though, like, what are we doing, like, with the names of the people who like died for us? Like, are we just gonna turn into like museums and monuments, and this is just a representation, or are we gonna start standing on their shoulders and continuing what they was trying to do? Because we ain't nowhere near none of this stuff. Like, yeah, they should be honored and revered, but should it be, if it's gonna be monetized, it's monetized by everybody else. But what is it monetized for? You know what I'm saying? So other people's society ain't even for the mission no more, you know? Like, oh, let's just make it a museum. But then it'd be like, why you gonna be a black leader? Well, they shot Malcolm X. And what happened nothing happened. Like that's not what they're like to honor them for. That's not an honor. I would say, for me, if we ain't complete the mission, don't make it a museum. Make it like a armory or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, make it something. Oh yeah, for sure, yeah, I'm just starting too, so it's only like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But like, if I accomplish as much as Malcolm X ever do, I'll say that first. Right. Don't make my house like a museum or something. Make it like a fort or something. If we ain't accomplished the mission, if the mission is accomplished, then yeah, okay, make it a museum. And the thing is, though, it won't be accomplished because I know who gonna be visiting the museum. But anyway, let me just play this.
That site, and it's just been an amazing to see the journey that they've gone from tearing the roof off and rebuilding this from basically just the shell to now what it is. Now, they're not completely done with it. They still have some work to do, but they wanted to open it to the public, to people today, because it is Monday, which is going to be the 100th birthday of Malcolm X, as you mentioned. Now, we were able to talk to Malcolm X's niece. She lived at this house inside with Malcolm X. And then we also talked to the people who are restoring it. Take a listen.
I never thought it would be revitalized, and I never thought that there was a story to be told about it. Now I know different.
I'm the CEO and founder of Project We.
Yeah, and no disrespect to her, right? This is black people as a whole mentality. It's more than a story that needs to be told. It's actions that needs to be taken, obviously. If you can play a Malcolm X speech today and it's still like, damn, I feel like he said that yesterday, there's still a problem, right? That means you have to be that person, but you scared because these people gave their lives and stuff for that, and now we like, oh, we can go out there in some church clothes and drink some wine, and you know what I'm saying, an Asian dude is here, an Arab dude is here, and like several white people is here, so we made it. Like, this is not what people. I can't speak for them, but I don't think this is what people died for. If you ain't even accomplished the goals yet. Well, especially, anyway.
We hope, dream, and believe in the owner of the house.
Talk about this day and this journey.
This has been probably the best journey ever. Understanding the history of the house, and then coming to find out that it's more than just Malcolm in this house.
Even though the city of Inkster knew about it, and they just never turned it into a museum. But it was meant for me and Aaron Sims and Project We Hope.
So white people that don't even like Malcolm X didn't turn it into a museum. Okay, yes. Malcolm X deserves to be in every museum in the world. He does. But what does that mean though? Like, what does that mean to you? What does that is do you go to the museum and get the energy that you want to be transferred? Because I hope I will, like, I guess I'm gonna spend my lifetime trying to figure out how to exert that energy if I ever earn this honor like he earned. Shouts out to my brother Bakari in the building. If I ever earn the honor as much as Malcolm X has earned, and I want my energy to resonate like, oh yeah, like it ain't no like, oh yeah. We know like, we know what this place represent, you know what I'm saying? Don't try nothing over here type of thing.
And hope, dream, believe to do it.
These guys really proud of their accomplishments, as they should be. Of course, we were back here in 2020.
Yo, Bakari, I was playing the at the beginning, my grandmother. Shouts out to my grandma. Her birthday was on Friday, on the 16th. She would have been 104. She was born in 1921. All right. My brother say he backstage here. Yo, what's going on, bro?
What's happening, man?
Ain't nothing. What's going on with you, bro?
Chilling, man. And happy belated birthday to your grandmother, man.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure she appreciate it. She say thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, man. I think okay. To me, I'm like this here forecast. Okay, when you see people building, restoring houses, historical landmarks, making things historical landmarks, and stuff like that. We got to realize, okay, just like today. Okay, let me put it this way. In the '60s, we had the so-called Black Power movement, and before, simultaneously with it, the Civil Rights movement. Okay, now going into that was in the late '60s, early '70s. But coming out of them '70s, what happened? White folks, they co-opt dog shit if they can make money out of it. You know what I'm saying? Those movements got co-opted, and now those movements the radical white feminist movement, or the LGBTQ movement, all these other intersectional groups. You know what I'm saying? The environmentalists and and all kind of things. You know what I'm saying? Antifa and all of this stuff. It's not what it was then to us. So Black Power's gone, Civil Rights movement gone, and now this new whole movement of multiculturalism. This what's going on now. And so what you have now is they'll look at Malcolm X as a figure who probably stood up for their cause. You know what I'm saying? Who stood up for the white feminist cause, or the LGBT, the LGBT, all marginalized people. They'll look at him not as he was standing up for the cause of African people, black people. You know what I'm saying? But for the cause of marginalized people now. And so now it's probably for you to see some Arab guy or East Indian guy who may be from Pakistan. Brother Malcolm, he was our brother. Malcolm, he was a Muslim too. You know what I'm saying? And then, you have other groups of people saying, Malcolm, he fought for the disenfranchised. They just got away from everything that Woody stood for, than what he really stood for. You know what I'm saying? And so this is what you have now. This is what you have, this mindset now with a brother thinking, they could, hey, well, we'll restore this house. Or we'll do this here. And all people are welcome. When we know in Malcolm's mind, in Malcolm's time when he was alive, man, he was fighting for the liberation of African people in this country, and African people all over the world. So that's what he stood for, our unity and liberation. And so all I can say now is like you said, but what we doing, man, by standing on shoulders, we got these brothers, man. I've been looking at them. They got a group, man. I was looking at them to see if I wanted to get with them. It's a group called the Malcolm X Grassroots Organization. Pretty good brothers. Pretty brothers and sisters. I'm still looking around. And then you do have the Shabazz Center. They had, as a matter of fact, they had a thing on online today So, I mean, I think there are people who are doing something, but who are still carrying out the work, you know, at least, you know, I mean, representing what he represented, you know, to a degree. But you know, you don't see a lot of it. You know, you gotta find it. You know, it ain't gonna be mainstream and public stuff like this. But yeah, man, you know, I don't want to go on too long, man. Let's just get back to the program. But yeah, I mean, you got to realize, you know, Malcolm X. It's two Malcolm X. It's the Malcolm X me and you know, and then all of us know. You know, us black consciousness people, African centered people, us revolutionary, whatever we want to call ourselves. It's the one we know. But then they have the co-op Malcolm X that they want that they know and that they want to promote. No, and I'll knock off right there.
Yeah, you're right. And I seen like just a lot of videos of a bunch of like Arab dudes who like Muslims, like, oh yeah, like Malcolm X is a Muslim brother, and that would be my only thing because we even Khalid Muhammad, you know, I gotta say it though, but like yeah, is you my brother? I guess I would have to say you're my brother in Christ. No, the hell I don't got to say none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be the only thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not even gonna talk about that. We just gonna uplift Malcolm X today, though. You know, no disrespect to nobody. So let's play. I guess this one. Some of this.
Democracy depends on a free press. Please support our independent journalism at democracynow.org/give. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. 100 years ago today, on May 19th, 1925, the man who would become known as Malcolm X was born in Omaha, Nebraska. Malcolm X would go on to become one of the most influential political leaders of the 20th century before he was assassinated at the age of 39 on February 21st, 1965, as he was standing at the podium before a crowd in Harlem's Audubon Ballroom. His wife, Dr. Betty Shabazz, pregnant with twins and sitting next to her 4 daughters, aged 6, 4, 2, and 5 months, were in the ballroom looking on. In 2023, the family of Malcolm X filed a $100 million wrongful death lawsuit against the FBI, the CIA, New York City and state, and the NYPD, as well as the district attorney's office for concealing evidence of their involvement in Malcolm X's assassination. Now his family is calling for President Trump to release more details about Malcolm X's assassination, just as he released thousands of unredacted files related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy and vowed in an executive order to release files on the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The state of Nebraska officially designated May 19th as Malcolm X Day in 2024. His daughter, Dr. Ilyasa Shabazz, was recently there to remember her father's legacy. Documentary Malcolm X, Make It Plain.
You were born in Omaha, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And your family left Omaha when you were, what, 1 year old?
I imagine about a year old.
And why did they leave Omaha?
Well, to my understanding, the Ku Klux Klan burned down one of their homes in Omaha.
This made your family feel very unhappy, I'm sure.
Well, insecure, if not unhappy.
So you must have a somewhat...
This fool said it made your family very unhappy to have the house burned down. Oh, you thankful?
Prejudiced point of view, a personally prejudiced point of view. In other words, you cannot look at this in a broad academic sort of way, really.
I think that's incorrect because despite the fact that happened in Omaha, and then when we moved to Lansing, Michigan, our home was burned down again. In fact, my father was killed by the Ku Klux Klan. And despite all of that, no one was more thoroughly integrated with whites than I. No one has lived more so in the society of whites than I.
So that was Malcolm X in the 1960s. Today would have been his 100th birthday. And today, the National Action Network will commemorate this birthday with Reverend Al Sharpton and National Civil Rights Attorney Ben Crump, who joins us now remotely.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness. What you got to say about that, my brother?
Yeah, but I think that documentary you just showing where the white man was trying to grill Malcolm. I watched that, man. I watched it, and they tried to come at Malcolm. But Malcolm handled it well, though. Because, he was a master. He was a master at that kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? It just make, I used to study Malcolm, the way he talked, like when he debate with people, because, he did a lot of that, man. And I kind of learned a lot from that. So when I be able to in debate discussions with people. But no, man, I definitely don't want to see the National Action Network having anything to do with that. You know what I'm saying? These type of Negroes and these people honoring Malcolm. You know, I mean, the people who Malcolm X wouldn't have had nothing to do with Al Sharpton. You know what I'm saying, Forecast? Malcolm wouldn't have had nothing. He would have had nothing to do with Al Sharpton. You know what I'm saying? And so, and Al Sharpton, you know, he gonna get paid. You know, that he getting paid somewhere. You know, they're gonna paint this image of Malcolm as a I don't know, man. It's basically like probably a militant integrationist. You know, some shit like that. It ain't gonna be the real Malcolm. You know, because I mean, it's just for his birthday. You know, yesterday we had the Ballad of the Bullet speech, man. We did the whole thing, man. We showed it at the crib, man, and brought some people over. But you know, because that was in 1964. That was just to let you know that the Malcolm that they was even trying to co-opt him back then. You know, after he came back from the Hajj and after he broke up with the Nation of Islam and trying to say, oh, this is a different Malcolm. No, he was the same Malcolm. He was Black nationalist Malcolm. But yeah, man, he like I said, man, you know, it's to me, just me, Forecast. This is how I feel. I would never build any kind of monument. I mean, the family, I'm not talking about his family. No, they deserve to do whatever they want to do. They had that right. But I'm saying for me, no, I would never build nothing like something like that. You know, like some little symbolic shit, like, you know, restoring a house he used to live in. Because, you know, I look at it like, you know, Malcolm would say, man, we in the same predicament we was back then. You know, they just gave us a little couple of tokens and everything, but, you know, we still ain't free. You know what I'm saying? We ain't living on our own goddamn land. And I'm like, Malcolm would have been like, man, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? You know, don't celebrate me while I'm still living on the plantation.
Yeah. Yo, let me say this though, right? Like to what you was just saying, because I agree with you, right? But like, and I will give it to Matron who made me think about it another way. And you can use it as a symbolic thing, but it's just, what does the symbol mean? Like, you can use Malcolm X for what he was about action. He went out there and did things. He created things. He did what he thought was right as far as he could, and he showed courage. He had courage. You know what I'm saying? And when we see Malcolm X, we could be like, okay, this symbolizes courage. So now let me channel this energy of courage. You know what I'm saying? When I think about Malcolm X, instead of letting them co-opt like you're talking about and saying, okay, well, you know, he was like, he went to Mecca or whatever. And the difference is we have another 60 some years of evidence of seeing how dirty Arabs are, you know what I'm saying? And but in every sense of the word, you know what I'm saying, or the West or East Mexicans or whatever they are. We have more evidence than he had, you know what I'm saying? He might have went over there and they was walking around that rock or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But like when Khalid Muhammad went 30 years later, he was like, I didn't see that, you know what I'm saying? I see what I saw. And also, it's okay to disagree with people. I don't agree with everything that anybody, like, I don't agree with everything Ida B. Wells did, you know what I'm saying? That she would be the hero if I pick one. But, you know, I would have probably disagreed. And I think that Malcolm X today would probably be like, yeah, we got no friends, you know what I'm saying? Because people that come from under him, like, you know, like people like know him, like John Henry Clark will tell you, we have no friends, right? And I'm pretty sure he would have came across that knowledge. So
Yeah, hey, Forecast, you know what I would say to that? This right here, okay.
Yeah.
Malcolm, like I said, like you said, when he went to Mecca, and he did, okay, remember Malcolm had that speech where he was talking about, back to the Battle of the Bullet. When he was talking about early in the speech, he was saying, put your religion in the closet. You know what I'm saying? The point he was saying, put your religion in the closet. Because if we use our religion, you know, I'm a Muslim, you're a Christian, you're a, you know, whatever else you want to be. You know what I'm saying? All we're going to do is have an argument and we ain't going to get along. You know what I'm saying? So he said, I'm going to put my religion in the closet. That's what we need to do. And I think, see, you got to look at it in another way. he was saying, put my Islam, the fact that I went to Mecca, that I went on the Hajj and everything. And you see me parlay with the Arabs. You heard I said about the brotherhood and everything. Malcolm was a strategic dude, man. He was very strategic. Now Malcolm knew when he went on that Hajj, he knew the discrimination that black people suffered in Arabia. He knew that. He seen it. It ain't no way that you can't see it. No, he seen it. But Malcolm knew that, okay, he was trying to make waves. Remember, we got to put it in context. Malcolm was trying to make waves, among African nations, among, Arab, Islamic nations, among Asian, all of the, what we call the people of color and all that, we had to put it in context. He was trying to forge alliances and things, because he knew who he was fighting against. You know what I'm saying? And he knew that at the time, this was like the Cold War. And this was like a lot of that exploitation was going on real heavy back then. The Americans had already went over there and overthrow Mossadegh in Iran, you know what I'm saying? Which was the seed of which you get the feelings that you have now from Iranians for America. You know what I'm saying? He witnessed all of that stuff live. Some of the stuff that we read about, he witnessed all that stuff live. He was seeing it happen, the Bandung Conference, all this stuff. So I'm saying Malcolm was strategic. He knew that it was racism over there among the people, among the Arabs. But he was being strategic. He said, I'm fortunate. But at the end of the day, like I said, and he reiterated in that speech, he said, and I think he was saying for everybody to know that, my political philosophy is black nationalism. My economic philosophy is black nationalism. He said that in 1964. He said that months before he died. So, you know what I'm saying? He knew where he was at. And I think some people, like a lot of us, like, Malcolm on people, this, and like you said, we don't agree 100% with all of our spokesmen say. But I think that he was being strategic and that he knew what that problem was. And I think that eventually he was going to show light on that shit. I'd knock off right there, see what you say, man.
No, yeah, that's fair enough. That's a good point, And that's true. You definitely got to put it in context, And so I definitely can't deny that, You know what? Speaking of that, right? Let's talk about. We're not gonna go deep on it. We're just gonna kind of go through because we're gonna wait till Cassandra come on here. But I do want to play this.
With one of America's top commanders.
Speaking of a brother who's actually doing something, shouts out to this brother. I just had to play this in honor to show somebody in the world doing something.
Mount at Capitory and Burkina Faso. Whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime.
When it's as for us, we will go wherever we want. In any case, we are free to establish relations with whomever we choose. That is what independence means. So on this matter, they can continue to think whatever they want. As for us, we will go wherever we want, as long as the partnership can, in any case, be mutually beneficial for both parties. Regarding those remarks, as you mentioned, we protested through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That was one thing. But I don't know what happened with that general. There is still a problem. And I would perhaps like him to admit his mistake if he was sent and to understand that this was not the right mission. If he was misled, he should say so publicly or otherwise admit before the Senate that he was mistaken. Or also, if it was done with bad intentions, well, we will confront him as we should, because everything he said is a lie. And it's really shameful to see an adult lie, to see an adult, a general officer of a great army lie. This is very serious.
It's hard to tell, but it don't really matter because I just want to play this part.
Faso's gold that we supposedly use for our protection and everything. First of all, it's Burkina Faso's gold. It's not his gold. That's the first thing. What business is it of his? It's none of his business. It's Burkina Faso's gold. It doesn't concern him. Secondly, he lied because Burkina Faso never had gold reserves until we arrived. We are the ones who started reserving gold in the treasury of Burkina Faso. Otherwise, there wasn't a single gram of gold reserve in Burkina Faso. That means he's a liar again. And the aspect that hurt me the most, not because he's a general or because he's American or whatever, it's because he's black. And it hurts a lot to see that they use a black man to fight a black man. The black race must not be used to fight black people. And every time it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And that's what we deplore. And it hurt us a lot to see that it was a black man who made these remarks. In a fight.
So I don't know, whatever, but the point is, it's true though. You do use a black man to fight a black man. When things get desperate, you bring in the black person and promise them, I don't know, like English. You promise you'll be an Englishman. I don't know what he gets from this. But yes, that's a common tactic. Like Europeans are not original. They do the same thing over and over and over. And listen, it's not our fault, but it is our responsibility to stand up and do what we're supposed to do. Like if we looking at our leaders and talking about Malcolm X, we shouldn't be talking about Malcolm X if we ain't gonna if we're gonna be scared to do anything that he did. Right? You could be like, oh yeah, thank you to Malcolm X, but if you sitting there wanting integration, he was like saying, like, what are you talking about? Like, you are killing yourself to integrate into your schools, to lose all of your teachers, and then to get eventually taught feminism, and then eventually get crack put in your schools, and then eventually go to jail, and then get to where you are today. But if we gonna start standing on these people's shoulders, are we gonna talk about it or are we gonna be about it? And I do think that is an energy, and people like, no, black people is the way. I don't know about the younger generation. I don't know. No, I'm telling you, the energy is changing within black people, more so upward. Like I'm not gonna say they all the way at the end. It's still people of the world type stuff and love and Jesus and all that stuff. But it's trending towards I love my blackness. I think maybe it's just the energy in the air. I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that the younger generation will do what they have to do. Now the thing is, for me and my generation, we have to put them in the position to where it's not as hard. Like we can make it as easy as possible for them. This is a generational thing. This whole system wasn't set up like with our parents and our grandparents. You know what I'm saying? They was already victims of the trauma that we are just now overcoming. Right? That whole our grandparents was taught to keep their eyes to the ground. Don't get off the sidewalk when they walk into white. And now they're like, no, nah. It's a generational thing, and we looking for a home run thing. You know what I'm saying? But when somebody is swinging for the fences, then we all should be ready to do what we have to do. You know what I'm saying? What you think, my brother?
Okay. Yeah, we're in agreement. Okay. I'm gonna say this for again. What you said was right. Look here. Black people around the world, man. Not just here in America, but around the world. I mean, you could go to South America, where you have millions of black people in Brazil. You know what I'm saying? Black Brazilians are waking up. You know what I'm saying? Black people all over the diaspora of the Western Hemisphere are waking up. In the UK and France. In France, look here, on that day, on this past last month on the 30th, where it was Support Traore Day, man, don't you know so many, I think it was 500,000, 500,000 black people hit the streets of Paris. Now, Macron, that's the main place That's all that Traore is into it with France. And 500,000 brothers and sisters hit the street and said, no, not this one right here. You know what I'm saying? They were like, fuck it, you know a lot of people are immigrants, just got there, you know what I'm saying, probably getting worked the hell out on some old fucked up job, you know what I'm saying, on a green card or whatever. But they said, fuck that. And then across Africa and in other places, Jamaica, they showed out in Jamaica. Up in the matron's hometown in Detroit, they showed out up there. The matron was to one of them. And a support tree or everything. The matron was there. You know, the brother Dennis Bowe right in there, you know, I communicated with him a little bit, man. You know, that's a solid brother, man. You know, I'm trying to get closer to him, you know what I'm saying? Talk with him or something. But that's a brother that's doing some things. You talk about doing stuff, that brother in Detroit doing some things. But I'm saying, to me, okay, like I said, I think right here, we need to do a little bit more right here. Because at one time it was black people here. It was we had the like, well, we the ones who stand up, we the ones who fight, we the ones who fight the system and all that there. And that's true, we always have. But you know what now? That shit done switched. Right now, it's them brothers and sisters on the continent doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they coming into the consciousness, and not only just political consciousness and knowing knowing how Western imperialism works, knowing how the capitalist system works. I mean, know how economic exploitation and all that, but they coming into the blackness part. You know what I'm saying? You know, you see now, you know, because you used to see sisters wearing them old ugly ass wigs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, brothers running around with those ugly ass toe down white girls in Africa. You know what I'm saying? But now you seeing a black is beautiful thing in Africa. You know, which you've had it before in small doses, but now you see it's big. It's real big, man. It's going big. I mean, if they going, it's like, you know, I guess it's like some heroin, you know, a new dope fiend. You know what I'm saying? When they first start getting high, you know, it's new to their system, and they just own it. And like, you know, I mean, and they own it harder than the people all over here. And now and we bag it up, going talk about all this black indigenous, all this bullshit. But I'm saying, like you say, that's why we got a lot of work to do right here. But I'm like, it's in the air right now, and I think it's in the air because of this brother, and not just this brother, but just the idea that he and the other brothers, Simi Goiza, President Chouani, these brothers stood up, and guess what? They did what you said. You said when somebody gonna do something for us, you know. So when somebody gonna do something, gonna do what Malcolm said, well, they doing it. Those brothers in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, they doing it. You know what? And other brothers and sisters looking, just got the sister in Namibia. She looking, she saying she doing it. So we got people doing it, man. We doing it. You know what? We got to do our part. We got to pull our end of the rope, you know, to help our people, man. And but like I said, it's just the fact, man. Don't it make you feel good, you know, just to see this brother? He's a beautiful brother too, man. A big old strong brother. You know, he look confident, and he like, fuck what y'all talking about. You know what I'm saying? You know, last thing before I knock out, if you think about the first thing that Negro said, and that's how you know he's speaking his master's language. Well, we already know that anyway. But I'm just saying, he started talking about what? The first thing he said in this conversation, he was talking about the gold reserves. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to look at where they're coming from. Okay, they had a flunky down in Uganda. He's still in power in Uganda, named Yoweri Museveni, the president of Uganda. He been a flunky for a long time. But what happened a couple of years ago in Uganda, they discovered 12, I think they said it was $12 trillion worth of gold in Uganda. So he got enough money, 12 trillion, that's a lot of money, man. They got enough money to back up his economy and stuff, you know, in case the money gets funny. Okay, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, what all they have in common? In West Africa, they got their gold. Think about it. Every day you look at the NASDAQ, you look at the gold exchange. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers already know that American dollar is falling. It's gonna be about shit. It ain't nothing like the dollar power. Ain't nothing like it used to be. You know, the brother, what's his brother? We talk to sometimes talk about the de-dollarization.
MZ2.
Yeah. But I'm saying these motherfuckers know that they money falling. You know what I'm saying? And they always, you know, and that's why you know, Fort Knox is so important. You know, and they always show you about the gold reserves. You see now these commercials where they tell you about buying gold and stuff. See, their whole thing is they looking at it's their money. It's their money, and they look in that de-dollarization. And with these people, these brothers over here in the continent talking about, stop using safers and all this old outside money instead of having their own currency and shit. So that's a lot of what that's about. But yeah, man, I know I went on a little bit, man. I'm not always. Go ahead, brother.
Oh no, you good, bro. Like, and we're gonna get more into it when cause since you're on here too. Cause I ain't gonna play it, but like, like talking about they own banks and controlling the gold. Like, yeah, you wanna want them to change how they use money. Well, get more of it than they have, and then they won't even look at gold. But it don't matter what they look at what, you know. The problem is us as the people, we are like actually the commodity. Like we're not a commodity, but if you know what I'm saying, like we are it. We are it. There's no word for it, but we are it, and you control once we learn to control see that's the problem. Like we understand, like you don't own the land, you don't own the earth. It just is. You know what I'm saying? But they came with the concept of owning and property and and that's why they talk about the capitalism and they try to mix all that stuff up into it. But y'all get twisted into European definitions and stuff like that. And not to say that we all don't, we talking in English. But that's why it's like so crazy making for us, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, you know what money is? Whatever you want it to be. Like, do you understand that you can make the rules of the world if we got each other's back and really understood that, you know what I'm saying? Like, who cares what they think is money or you control and whatever they think is money, you control that, you know what I'm saying? Like the resources is the actual wealth, you know what I'm saying? Like not the pieces of paper with like people on them that would have killed us and we would give that to them for the actual resource that keeps you alive, you know what I'm saying? But also it comes like under the threat of violence and all of that stuff, but we got to stop being cowards. But we also got to stop being unaware and not realizing that it might always be a war, that you have to defend yourself. And that might have to be in your curriculum for the rest of history. You know what I'm saying? To teach your children, once you get it back, how to never, ever let none of this happen again. Like we got enslaved 3 times in the last 1,000 years. So we should know by now we'll never let that happen again. You know what I mean? Yo, the last thing, I'll let you pick, and y'all can say in the chat too if y'all want to pick. I was gonna do this Friday. I was gonna go through this debate right here. All right, where you got your boy Mark Lamont Hill, but the white girl saying some crazy stuff. Or we can go through Malcolm X debate and Bayard Rustin. Which one do you think, my brother?
I'd rather Mark Lamont Hill because I done seen Malcolm. I done seen that one plenty of times, and I think Mark Lamont Hill it was more funny and laughable.
Yeah, I was gonna do that Friday. The only reason I say that, I know a lot of people haven't seen it, and it's still the same conversation that we have today. But you're right, we could definitely do that. Let's see.
Forms because I don't think that
the same thing. But what I don't want, the people who are fundraising for Carmelo Anthony, the argument here isn't, yeah, we did something and we don't care like the other woman. The argument is we're being misrepresented here. We're being railroaded. This was a self-defense claim. This is not an act of violence. This isn't first-degree murder. I'm saying what they're saying. This isn't my argument. They're saying this is a first-degree murder claim that is wrong. This is actually self-defense, and we need the money to make sure that we get a fair trial. I think, and so whether you agree with his argument or not, I think raising money for a fair trial is different than raising money for a racist.
I mean, I think the common theme between the two, and this is not to pass any view about it at this stage, although I have strong views.
First of all, who cares what they raise money for? It's about what we put our money towards, though, for real. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be, and that is my argument, and we want to defend the brother who did what he had to do to protect his son, you know what I'm saying, who was going through mental illness and put our money behind that brother. so be it. You know what I'm saying? Or a young sister who had to remove part of that thug white girl who was bullying her, she should have representation. But that's the point of like us having like, and we got away from that. You know what I'm saying? Like he was talking about Malcolm X creating groups and stuff, but black people used to create groups so they can put economics together to represent each other or to teach each other skills or to help bury each other's loved ones or whatever it is. We always had to realize we had to put our money together or whatever. And you can jump in anytime too, bro.
I guess the common theme is that both of them say that as a result of all the publicity, they've been doxxed and had all their personal details. The alleged killer, that he has also, I think, had direct threats against him. And in the case of the mother using the M word in that despicable manner, she has said she's had a lot of threats too.
My quick response to that would just be, let's assume everybody's telling the truth. Let's assume she's telling the truth. Let's assume he's...
In which it was entitled, "White People Are Finally Fighting Back. Stand with Shiloh Hendricks." What did you mean by that?
Here's the thing. White people have been under attack for years. It's been systematic racism. As much as Black people and people of color want to talk about systematic racism in the United States, it's quite the opposite. They get preferential treatment when it comes to getting a job, when it comes to getting into colleges. White people, on the other hand, have been getting attacked relentlessly. Look at 2016 and BLM and all the riots. We just had to sit back and watch people burn down our cities and do nothing about it. So the way to fight back against essentially this anti-white hatred that's been systemically, ingrained in U.S.
It's funny. You know who's burning stuff down? I mean, it's hard to say because it's so easy to call everything she says is like hypocritical. But the key is though, do you see the mindset though? Like instead of being like, "Oh, I'm so offended by this," why don't you be like, "I don't want my children near no crazy ass Neanderthal girl like that." It's the mentality, like thinking of racism as a bad thing when it's really you are protecting yourself from a group who have showed you time and time again, right? I don't care how much we pray with them, you know what I'm saying? As soon as the praying is over, we're going to see who prayers God, whatever God you pray to, just look at the fruit and see who answered the prayers were answered. And then if it ain't yours, then you might want to switch the one where your prayers get answered,
as society is with white women.
Yeah. Go ahead, my brother.
This is why I want some Negroes to see, Negroes to look at this. I want some Negroes to sit down and look at this and look at what she's saying. Now, look here. These motherfuckers, the mentality, to the mentality of a white person, and I mean a white man or a white male or female. We ain't discriminating. We ain't gonna sit up there and act like one of them better than the other. Both of them dogs is the same species. You know what I'm saying? Now, these motherfuckers, just think about it. These motherfuckers, they had, I remember Nat Turner's, one of Nat Turner's descendants. These brothers, they were some of Nat Turner's descendants. And they were sitting down and they had one of the descendants of the family that Nat Turner slaughtered. Okay, and they were talking about how they killed everybody. They killed the husband, the wife, and the children. And then this takes me to these Negroes sitting up there talking about calling us child killers and stuff. Because we saying we believe in fighting the enemy to the death. These people who have
especially the babies.
Yeah, these people don't give a damn about your humanity. They were sitting up here talking about why did Nat kill the baby, but ignoring the fact how they throw babies in swamps and that alligators eat them. Ignoring the fact of how they stepped on newborn babies' heads and smashed their brains out. You know what I'm saying? Ignoring the fact how they cut babies out their mama's stomach. And you have Negroes who we know will sit up here and come down on us for saying kill them all. You know what I'm saying? When all these motherfuckers that did was kill us all. You know what I'm saying? And listen at her mentality. Here she goes, a white woman, a white person sitting up here angry and upset Look at, they get angry and upset just because black people don't like the treatment that they're getting. Okay, if I don't like the way you white motherfuckers been treating me, guess what? That's called anti-white hate. I mean, that's called white hate. It's called I hate white people because I'm saying, man, I want a fair shake. You know, I want an opportunity. I want to not be discriminated against. You know what I'm saying? I want to not this, whatever. You know, just because you just saying that, if I just come to you and say, forecast, please don't slap me no more upside the head. Please don't take my lunch money no more on the schoolyard. That's me. That's anti-forecast. You know what I'm saying? I hate forecast because I'm asking forecast not to bully me no more.
And I gotta smack you harder for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so we got Negroes who will sit up here and can't understand that. And I'm just like, you Negroes make me sick. And I mean, hey, they really making me sick. Because, you know, I hate when Negroes who call themselves black conscious or black revolutionaries or black this or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You'll have smoke with me, but you ain't gonna go and lift, you ain't gonna go and fight the motherfucker who you say oppressing you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no smoke for them. You wanna give them a shot, give them a chance, give them a pass. You know what I'm saying? But you ain't gonna give me a pass. And Marvel Hill is a Negro that give people pass. Yeah, every once in a while he'll get upset behind something you say and everything. But look here, you gotta look at it. Look here. You coming on Pierce Brosnan show. Talking with these, I mean, who you trying to prove something to? What I get out of that, you trying to reach humanity in these honkies when there ain't no humanity in none of it. You know what I'm saying? You ain't proving nothing by going on that show. You know, Mark Lamont Hill is just another Negro. He's just one of those Negroes who want to be like a Ta-Nehisi Coates. You know, some of these Negroes who can go on white shows and sit up and talk about race and really don't talk about nothing real about race or talk about reparation or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And say a couple of things, you know, be seen. You know, it's really catering to the bougie Negroes. You know what I'm saying? It ain't catering to me and you. Because when me and you hear that shit, we really gonna laugh at it. I'm not gonna break that, man.
Yeah. You know that little white boy that Nat Turner you know he was a slave owner? And you can ask them, right? Do you think all slave owners should be I guess it's like a game, I guess, but it just to see the logic. All slave owners should be off, right? Okay, well that little boy was a slave owner. Should he be like that's why the children, you know, or the kids. Yeah. So yes, especially the little ones, you know.
We don't see white unity on
Hang
our
on.
side.
Okay, but hang on. Sorry, just to be clear, this has got nothing to do with anything you just said. This is a disgusting racist woman who repeatedly spews the M-word, first at a young child, and then at the person taking the video of her, does it with complete impunity, does it numerous times. We are talking about a bona fide, unquestionable racist. So I don't understand why what you've just said to me bears any relation to white unity or anything that you've just said. She's just a racist. End, isn't she? You wouldn't dispute that.
It's not about her. It's not about her. It's about
well, it is about her
coming together and supporting another white person. And it doesn't matter.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. She is. I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would.
Mm-hmm. I do quite frequently.
Yeah. Lying her ass off.
You use the M-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist, are you?
And the part she lying about is about saying in somebody's face. She knows she's, well, except for her, some black dude who'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're my N-word," and smack him, and he probably get turned on or some crazy stuff. But that's psychological damage. That's why I'm like, I understand it's a real mental issue. Like that's real mental health problem, bro. Like yo, that's how bad we are, you know. And Michael Lamar Hill probably like it. No, I'm joking. I take that. He may or may not.
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you use the N word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you? Are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away. So you were saying Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different.
Sorry, but just to
kind of
be
thing.
clear, you just said to me you use the N word regularly. In what context? Do you use it with black people?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate to use the
about
N
black
word?
people.
When would it be appropriate?
Anytime I feel like it.
So you're an unashamed racist.
Correct.
Yo, are you mad about that, my brother?
No, I just want what I want is a lot of our sisters, the black feminists, to look at that. You know what I'm saying? Look at that and listen to that white woman. You know what I'm saying? Because they try to they act like the white woman ain't as bad as the white man. You know what I'm
it's the
saying?
most dangerous species in the
That devil
universe.
is worse. Yeah, when that devil is worse than the white man.
Yeah, the most dangerous species in the universe.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care. I mean, why are we not talking about Shiloh Hendricks? Why are we talking about?
Well, actually, I think you've moved it on in this debate very quickly to your own racism, which explains why you've supported her in public and why you've got all these views. You see no problem with a woman shrieking the N-word repeatedly because you yourself are a despicable racist, and you've just proudly admitted that with a smug grin on your face, which is pretty horrifying, actually, for most people to have to watch. And shame on you. You're entitled to do it, and I'm entitled to call you despicable.
Well, shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically discriminated against in the United States. This is our country. This is a country that should.
What do you mean your country?
Because I'm white and my.
Well, there are no black people in American history. Is that what you're saying? That they've all just landed in America, invading your white country? Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they were brought here technically.
Oh, God.
Yo, you see how easy they can lie though? Like, she know that's a damn lie. You know what I'm saying? There's no issue.
Hey, Forkhead. But you see, listen at Pierce Brosnan. Listen at Pierce, whatever his name is. Listen at him talking about how your white country, when it's his ancestors who came there and did all that shit.
Especially his ancestor. For us, particularly.
Do you understand how dumb you sound?
This is stupid. This is stupid and racist. And at some point, we have to ask ourselves: do we want to reward this kind of disgusting behavior by platforming it?
I don't disagree, Mark. Listen, I didn't know she was going to say that. I don't disagree with you.
No. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think you knew ahead of time. I'm saying at this moment, someone who's saying it's technically black people brought up. No, technically, Africans were so.
You think he didn't know that beforehand?
Yeah, he knew it.
They built this country, and the idea that you can justify calling a baby the N-word by saying that white people are losing the country is absurd. It's morally bankrupt, and it's honestly besides the point. All these these are just distractions from the fact that she wants to justify dehumanizing and even.
I'm telling you, I know what Tanzan said. She might be technically right when she was like, it was a black woman who probably got raped by a Neanderthal. But I swear, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out some brothers was leaving out of Africa, then seeing some Neanderthal in some cave somewhere, and they said whatever version of the N-word back then, and the brother was turned on, and the rest is history. And then they gave birth to Arabs, and then the whole Middle East went down in flames. It became the Middle East instead of anyway.
You said it went down in flames.
Yeah. As soon as the brothers went out of Africa looking for whatever they was looking for, and seeing some Neanderthals in them caves, and then the other ones that seen the Denisovans And, you know, so whatever you call them, the Asians messed the whole chain up and made the Indians, I guess. I don't know.
Small black child. It's disgusting.
Well, it's,
Yeah,
I find
never
it.
said that. I never said that.
No, but you may as well have done because you're just an unashamed.
That's the implication of
proud
your- that's the
racist. Let me
implication
bring
of
in
your
Myron Gaines because you've been smirking and laughing. What's funny about any of this?
Well, I mean, I find it interesting that you guys want to virtue signal and, you know, wag the finger and say she's a racist and everything else like this.
No,
but I
she
find it
admitted she's a racist.
Well, let me
I'm not
finish my
wagging a
point.
finger at anybody.
She
I don't need to
self-identified as a
wag.
racist. She
But
said, "I
Myron,
am a
with
racist."
respect, Myron, I don't need to
Because-
wag a finger when somebody says, "Yeah, I'm racist. I use the N word against black people. I don't care." That's a racist. I'm
everyone
not
isn't
wagging
gonna-
any finger. I'm not accusing anybody. She is admitting it proudly. Even
Here's the
you
thing.
can't defend that, surely.
So which one is better, the one that admitted or the one that won't admit it? I don't know. Which one would you vote for, my brother? The one that admitted or the one that won't admit it?
Yeah, me, I love to pull a bullet in both of their brains. But I'm just,
It was a trick question. You got it right. It was a trick question. I like that.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is it depends on a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all
okay,
make-
stop the
we
shit.
all
Stop the show. 4K, stop the show. Talk about him. About that Negro mentality right there. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was talking about. That mentality. All of us are racist. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying? When I hear Negroes with that bullshit, it's the same thing. It takes me, and I'm not picking on nobody. I'm not trying to. I know it might sound like I am, but it takes me back to these Negro socialists. You know what I'm saying? Who always talking about it's the system. It's the system of capitalism. You know, that racism and all this stuff is a byproduct of that shit. No, it's not the goddamn system. It's not the system. And see, it's that mentality right there that don't appreciate. See, that kind of mentality. This is a brother that don't appreciate his own self. He don't love his blackness. He want to be other than black. You know what I'm saying? He don't want to be black, and that's why he got to go up and defend somebody. I mean, how can you sit here and listen? Well, I know how you can, but you could sit right here and listen to this bitch, to this fuck ass bitch, say all the shit that she say, and she's saying that shit, and when she's saying it, she looking at your black ass. You know what I'm saying? She was the little girl in that picture that watching that lynching where that brother was hanging up in the tree and that little girl was smiling. That's her. She want to see your black ass hung. She want to see your motherfucking neck cut. And these Negroes still have the audacity to lay there and defend people and to be impartial, to go 50-50. Okay, well, everybody's racist. No, everybody ain't racist. Black people ain't never had no power in this country or nowhere else to go and inflict racism on white people, to go and enact legislation to discriminate against white people. You know what I'm saying?
But yo,
So,
I don't mean to
go
cut
ahead,
you
go
off
ahead.
right.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, because I just want to ask you a question though, because we had this conversation. Do you think if we had the power, we would do it though? I say black people can't be racist. I hope that's not. I hope I'm not right, but
Look, I'm gonna answer the question. In my opinion, okay. In my opinion, that ain't in our nature. I mean, originally, okay, it ain't in our nature. Okay, but I'm going back to us as African people on the continent. Now, see, everything like I always say, you had to put stuff in context. Okay, now we talk about African people here in North America, or we talk about African people in Haiti, you know, or in the Caribbean or Central South America, and going through all of the shit that we done went through with these people. You know what I'm saying? Forecast. Okay, like this here. I'm so glad. Your grandmama and my grandmama. My great grandmother was born in 1894. Her name was Annie Mae Johnson Chips. I got a picture of her there. My grandmother, we call her Mama Chip. She was born in 1894. Forecast. My grandmama was born on a plantation. My great grandmama. She was born on a plantation about 50 miles east of where I'm from, in Homer, Louisiana. She was born on a plantation. Her children, my grandmother and my great aunt, we call her Aunt Baby. She died. Aunt Baby died in around 2000, around 2000. She was about 95. I used to sit down and talk to her. She told me, she the one told me the story about her uncle, Isaac McGee, the one who got lynched. You know, I told you about that. She told me about that story. Okay, she used to tell me, she remember when she was a little girl, and she showed a picture. She had a picture when she was a little girl on this plantation. It was from 1912. I see my great grandmother when she was about 25, 26, in her 20s. My auntie, my great aunt, told me the story that once that the white man was on the plantation, he was whipping some children. And she said, you said that her mama, my great grandma said, I wish he put his hands on my child. I'm gonna be up there. It's gonna be in blood. You know what I'm saying? So I had an idea listening to that damn of just nature of these motherfuckers. Know the shit that it come from. And I know, like you said, you talked to your grandmother and she told you about some of the shit that had happened back then. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying with everything that we went through, that our people went through, even that we go through today, these little subtle things and not so subtle things. You know, it would almost be impossible for us if we have any kind of pride and dignity, you know what I'm saying, to think, oh, you know what, man, all of the shit that we went through, and now we're in a position, I like, you know, shit, man, me personally, you know, I'm a vindictive motherfucker. I'm like, we run all the motherfuckers in the goddamn lake. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we gonna have Bwana Hagazik and them gonna cover us with the blood of Christ and stop us from doing it though.
Look, Jesus ain't gonna like what you said. Now look, but the thing is, my brother, like I feel what you're saying, you know, but the problem is, and I agree, I would say I would be the same way, but I can't give no black person in the world, besides like the people on like the Senegalese island who actually keep the code, you know what I'm saying, the only ones who actually kept the code this whole time. I can't give no other black person on the planet a pass after like 1950 for everybody else, but like 1700s for us for real, 1800s. I'll say 1820, 25. I can't give no black person no pass when it comes to that. And unfortunately, right, black people will be like, yo, the bad ones, you know what I'm saying? But we do have this nature within us that's always going to be like, but what about the good ones? You know what I'm saying? And as a society, as a collective, to set rules and boundaries. In Haiti, that can't give them a pass, right? They said in 1804 or 1807 or whenever they made their constitution, white bitches get a pass. Little white kids get a pass. They said what your boy said. They said that in the 1800s, and you see where they got them. But we learned absolutely nothing. We don't understand the definition of racism. We got to educate everybody else on racism when we don't even understand the definition, which is to make sure, and that is the survival of us, right? To make sure that not only we survive, that we have everything that we need to live as comfortably as we need to. And if anybody violates us, anybody in the world violates the laws of blackness or whatever it is, you have to suffer a punishment, right? If you talk about the plantation thing, I was talking about it with somebody earlier, and they was like, you don't see people getting married at the Holocaust museums and stuff like that. It's because it's punishments that come with it, you know what I'm saying? But we let everybody do what they do, you know what I'm saying? But the issue is, if we do reestablish another world order and we was at the top of it, you think you telling me that black people as a whole is not going to go right back to being fair to everybody? Do you think we've learned our lesson? Because if we don't, we're going to be enslaved again, and we're going to have to learn this lesson every time, probably for eternity, until we can learn that racism, or I guess to drop our tribalism for our own. Like, it's okay to have tribal differences to a certain point. but you can't interact with all species and all things in the universe. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think this is a lesson that we're supposed to learn and I don't think we learned it yet. I don't think we racist. I don't think black people as a whole can be racist, and that we would be like, little white kids, you got to go to that broken down school, you know what I'm saying? Or at least away from, I don't care what you do really, but you can't come near mine, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're still alive, you know. I don't think black people can do that. Don't you think?
Yeah, we was hey, look here, I was on a show. What is it? It was Friday. No, it was Saturday. I was on the show with our brother Kofi. We had a good show, man, and it was me, Kofi, and a brother from South Africa. And we had a good talk, and we was talking about our mentality, and we was talking about the we was using, for example, like the situation in when they were talking about the plantation. No, Kobe was messing with me about the plantation, you know, about the plantation that got burnt up down there, you know, down there in River Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, right down the street from me. But we was talking about the mentality of black people, man, and how we had. I was mentioning to the brother from South Africa, how we had smoke for each other. You know what I'm saying? How you had brothers and sisters in South Africa, you know, going against, you know, brothers from neighboring countries, you know, people from neighboring countries like Zimbabwe or Zambia or whatever, coming there, you know, getting jobs, but they got smoke for the white motherfucker that run your country. So I'm saying, you know, and the brother enlightened me on a lot of things, you know, about the mentality of the people. You know, we talked about some things. You can check it out if you get a chance to. Kobe's Last or Alive. I was on that product for about 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, man, it's okay. Forecast. It's just like this here. I remember in the '60s, they had this dude, this white boy, named Charles Manson. I know. Have you ever heard of him, Charles Manson?
Yeah, the killer dude.
Okay, Charles Manson was a music artist. He was an artist. He was a recording artist. He did music.
Oh, okay.
He had an ad. Okay, no, I'm saying he was the one. He was the crazy white boy who was locked up in the penitentiary. But I'm saying he also was a musician. Okay, he had an album. He put an album out, and the album was called Blackbird. It was called Helter Skelter. Blackbird, Helter Skelter. Now in the music, in the song, the story was about that black people was gonna take over America and run things. Black people was gonna take over and run things. He said, but eventually we ran it so inept. We were so weak-minded or whatever, feeble-minded. We were so inept at running it that we was gonna give control back to the white people. You know what I'm saying? We was gonna give it back to them. I'm going to what you just said. You know, about us, if we got in power, will we do this here, or if we didn't, no, we're gonna have to learn our lesson all over again. Now see, that white boy has seen that right then. He's seen the whole nature of us. He's seen that these motherfuckers don't want to be. They don't want to be on top. They don't want to rule. They just want to get along and you know, with everybody and just be happy. You know what I'm saying? Just get along. Can't we just all get along? You know what I'm saying? Instead of like, when you in control, put your foot down and get rid of your enemies. You know what I'm saying? And he said in that thing that they was gonna give power back to the white folks, and then white folks was going on and gonna keep on doing the shit that they've been doing. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that's the way I would answer. You know, with our mentality. Well, I mean, you know, things are changing right now. But I say if I went from right now, yeah, I think black folks would be like, well, come on, y'all. Some of them are all right. You know what I'm saying? You know, and me, I'll be like, me and you, I know we'd be like, man, ain't none of them motherfuckers all right. Let's all for all of them. But you know, it'll be some of them who would kick our ass, who would kill us, just to say them motherfuckers.
Yeah, and be like, except for my wife, my white girl, cool. She good. No, bro. Yeah, but I'm gonna play just a little bit more before we get off
To
here.
some degree. Now, how racist you are is a whole other situation, but everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say, see, I think this Shiloh Hendricks and Metcalf situation.
Oh, by the way, everyone racist, so it's cool, y'all. So none of this stuff matters, really.
Is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organizing. And what I mean by this is for decades, we've had black people literally running around with black supremacy, committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example, George Floyd, Ferguson, criminal.
Okay, I'm sorry, real quick. I just want to say one thing real quick. Remember what Dr. Collins said? When they can't beat you, they always go and find some old bootlicking Negro to go against you.
Yeah. If you look at war, right? First, they'll come and try to talk to you, right? And then they'll try to like send a priest or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Then they might send a white girl or something like that. Then they'll try war. And if they lose, they'll try to send other groups. And if those other groups lose, then they will send other black people. And usually the other black people is the one that actually makes it. That's the last resort. And then usually we haven't got past that point yet. So.
Freddie Gray, criminal. A lot of these people are criminals, and what ends up happening is they challenge the police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die, something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result. When in reality, it's not the police killing black people, it's black people killing black people. And if you want to talk about black on white violence, black people kill white people 2 times as much. And on top of that, most of the shootings in America, a lot of the times, are white cops killing other unarmed white men. So this whole systemic racism or police brutality
and she nodding her head like, good boy, good Negro, good nigga.
Oh, it's also messed up. The reality is this. Black people have been able to get away with a ridiculous amount of privilege in America for a very long time. They're able to be racist with impunity. They're able to call white people crackers without being challenged back. And quite frankly, white America's had enough of it, and the chickens have come to roost. Now, look, am I saying that's awesome? Am I saying that's great? No, but for literally the better part of almost 2 decades since the Obama era, we've had to have BLM and liberalism shoved down our throats, and quite frankly, we're all tired of it.
Right, but just to be clear, you would have no problem with one member of this panel openly saying she uses the M-word at black people with impunity and is proud of being a racist. You have no problem with that?
My worldview on the protection of the First Amendment in a speech overrides my personal feelings. She has the right to say
That's
it.
fine. You can support the First Amendment, but you can also have a personal view about what she said.
My feelings are irrelevant. The Constitution is the Constitution. That's what matters.
Oh, that's fascinating. Hold on. So when it comes
So he's one of those, she probably called the N-word. So she has probably said it to a black person. So I guess she wasn't lying.
to chastising black Americans about their behavior, about calling white people crackers, as you say, about their moral claims, about the racist system, you can levy a judgment against black Americans for all the things they do. But when it comes to this woman saying the N-word, and this other woman endorsing it and saying that she herself uses the N-word, now all of a sudden we can only talk about the Constitution and the legal right. We can't offer any moral judgment against it. That's disingenuous. And it's as the only black American up here, that's quite frustrating to hear.
If you want to be soft, that's your fucking problem, not mine.
Let me ask Ricky.
We're not even.
Let me ask Ricky. Ricky,
this isn't about being soft any more than when you were desperately saving these white people.
Hold on. This sensitive nature that you have is precisely why we have this problem.
It's not about being sensitive. It's about I didn't articulate. Hold on. Let me finish, Myra. Let me speak and then I'll let you respond. Myra, I didn't articulate any sensitivity here. What I said, in the same way that you levied a judgment against black people, I'm levying one against the claims you're making. I'm no more sensitive than you were when you made your claim. I'm simply saying I disagree with you. And to immediately jump to you're being sensitive is just a distraction. I'm making an argument here. Just respond to my argument.
If you're the violent crime committee in the United States is committed by a small percentage of people, and they tend to be black men. Look, the reality is the reality. People don't want to say it, but the political correctness and being nice and not.
Yo, by the way, these crime statistics, let me ask you a question. What do they count it on? Like, is this a go by conviction, suspicion, arrest, charges? What do they do the crime statistics off of, bro?
They do it off a survey of about 4 or 5 people. It's straight bullshit. You know what I'm saying? The majority of the murder and the mayhem committed in this country is committed by white folks. And we know that, and they know that.
And the statistics actually do say that, too, if you look at it, too, by the way.
Want to tell the truth is precisely this problem. And the reason why you're seeing all the support for Metcalf and Shiloh etc., is because white people have not been able to step up and say what they want to say for a very long time because of what I said before. Systemic.
So, and by the way, and what I meant to was like George Zimmerman not murdering Trayvon Martin but not being convicted. Is he considered a murder, a crime? Was that counted in the crime records? Okay.
That's to them.
Okay. Systemic, organized, where they don't take accountability for their
All right, let me
decisions.
bring in Ricky to respond. Ricky.
Okay, the good white girl.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say that I agree that virtue signaling went too far, that political correctness went too far, but we're going from virtue signaling being the norm and being praised to now vice signaling being the norm and being praised. It's not just a matter of does this woman have the right to use that word? I believe that she has the right. I disagree with it. But is she now being rewarded with $500,000? Why are we rewarding people for performing vice instead of virtue? This is not healthy. This is destructive to our society. This is destructive to our social fabric, to our culture, to our ability to live with other fellow Americans. It's gross to reward someone for bad behavior. It's one thing to tolerate it, to say that she has the right to do it, but she called an autistic 5-year-old the N-word. Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like we're kind of like missing the point in the actual context. You can say that it's part of this bigger meta story of Black and white America, but it actually is just like a short little clip, and you don't even know the context of it. And
Yo, hey, let me ask you a question real quick, bro. Is Tina Marie Black?
Hell no, the bitch is white. A Jew at that.
Okay, my bad. That's irrelevant. I just had to ask you. My bad. I'm gonna keep going.
it's actually gross. And if we can't just say that it's gross and bad, then I don't really know where we are.
Well, I think it's interesting to me that Lily Gaddis, you retweeted Nick Fuentes, the white supremacist, by saying he said black people just raised 500,000.
Oh yeah, the Pope ain't black neither.
Huh? What'd you say?
And that Pope ain't black neither.
Yeah, because I didn't even never look into that. So he got like one black person like far back in his history or something like that.
Yeah, man. It's with that old Louisiana Creole stuff, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's some bullshit. You got a whole bunch of these Negroes, some of they Creoles down here, they ain't no Creole in them. But you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's for another day. No, that man ain't got no black in him, no.
That's crazy. They said the first black pope.
Killer who stabbed a white teenager to death. So I don't want to hear one word about the Shiloh Hendricks fundraiser. Either everyone gets to be tribal or nobody does. Why would you retweet that?
Because I agree with it. We have to fight fire with fire. I mean, at some point, why are
nobody does?
Why are Jewish people allowed to be tribal? Why are Black people allowed to be tribal? But as soon as white people stand up for themselves, we're labeled a racist. And by the way, you call people racist when you want them to stop talking about things.
No, I called you a racist because you admitted you were racist. Hang on. I called, just to be clear, I called you a racist because you openly, proudly admitted you're a racist. So it wasn't a question of exposing you or pointing my finger or trying to get this out of you. You proudly sat there, bold as brass, and said, yeah, I use the N-word all the time against black people. I'm a racist and I'm proud of it. That's what you did.
Racism is just having a preference.
Yeah, it did, bro.
I prefer not to live around Black people. I prefer not to live in a country where white people in our country are disproportionately attacked by Black people. Where in my country, you can have an Austin Metcalf where he asks a guy to leave and he gets stabbed in the heart. I prefer that. That's a preference. Now, what a real racist is, in my opinion, is seeing someone as less human. I'm a Christian. I believe everyone's created in God's image. So I don't see anyone as less human. But that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to have a preference and say, I don't.
And girl is a Christian over there. But she look, I prefer that too. But yo, what you think about it? Your girl is over here as a Christian, bro?
Well, I'm glad I'm not a Christian.
She don't got the same God as you.
Hey, I know she don't have the same God as I do. But my God is an African God. The African God is. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We ain't got the same thing. And I'm just like, I always said that. I mean, of course you put things in context. I remember Nat Turner in his in the so-called diary. Nat Turner said when he had his dreams, he said he seen the good side and the bad side. Everybody on the good side was black. Everybody on the bad side was white. You know what I'm saying? All the demons were white. So Nat Turner had a good Christian religion. You know what I'm saying? His God was black. And his God, and his God, yeah, and you know, and his God stood for the liberation of his people. So I like Nat Turner's Christianity. I'm not a Christian, but I like his. I like Marcus Garvey's Christianity. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a Christian, but I like his. And so that's why I look at it. That's why I look at it right there. Okay, if my God say that if we gonna talk about my God, somebody loving everybody and all that old bullshit, that's a religion that I don't need. You know what I'm saying? And Muslim too. If because you got man, look here. I got into it with a Muslim brother, man. Back when I was young, when I was into the Nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying? I was about to receive my ex and everything. And you see my brothers over here, talking about we was at a place, man, and it was other Muslims from some of the East Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? Hey, brother, and all that there. I said, man, them same dudes, when you go to their little corner store, man, they be talking behind your back and saying all kind of words. I even learned words that meant anti-black shit. By listening to that damn, and one of them laid there and told it to me. So I'm like, it's not just the Christians, so I ain't just picking on the Christians. I'm saying it's the Christians and the Muslims too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to me, both of them is some religions that I throw in the garbage can that I don't give a damn about. But yeah, right there.
Yeah, and Ross said, religious institutions in black communities make a lot of money.
Don't like what happens to be coming out of this community or that community. How is that a bad thing? How is that not just a preference?
Because you've literally.
That's what I be trying to ask them. How is that a bad thing? I'd be like, oh, you're a racist. You're a black supremacist. How is that a bad thing? You can answer me. No. Why the babies? That's why, because they grew up to be Neanderthal bitches like that. What you say?
No, I'm saying, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Made black people sound lesser humans. You don't want to live around them. You want to use the N word in relation to them, a word that causes that community unbelievable offense.
My fault? Is that my fault? If they have bad behavior, if they want to act in a certain way, if I have to cross the street and be afraid that maybe because of the crime statistics that are very real, by the way, is that my fault or
is it my fault? If they present a very real threat to children, elderly, me, my brothers, they put us in prisons and jails and zoos and, you know what I'm saying, all types of stuff and institutionalize our bed. Is it my fault that they committed these crimes? Or, you know what I'm saying, is it my responsibility to respond to these crimes? You know what I'm saying? Why would I be mad? I mean, like, seriously, like, why don't we understand if somebody commits a crime against you, it's a problem. You got to do something about that to make it stop, right?
is that their fault for having bad behavior?
That's mind-boggling to me for multiple reasons. I mean, we're talking about bad behavior. We've never lynched you. We've never enslaved you. We've never done any of the.
Why not? That's a good question. Why not? Why haven't you? Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping.
Deep-seated structural forms of injustice to white people.
Why?
White people have done to black people, and yet to claim some kind of moral superiority in the midst of, and again, in the context of a conversation where a white woman is calling a 5-year-old autistic child the N-word, and we're talking about black people's bad behavior. This is absurd. And the idea of fighting fire with fire, again, is a dishonest argument. Just to take us back to the point here. The people who are supporting Carmelo Anthony's campaign believe that he was wrongfully charged and they're trying to get him legal defense. The people who are defending this woman are saying, yes, we know you called the 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word, and we want more of it. We approve of it. We support it. These are not the same thing. And it's bonkers to me that we couldn't all stand and say, hey, it is wrong to call a 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word. I mean, Myron, let me just ask.
Well, My brother mentioned some things they did to 5-year-olds, but already, right? They sold 5-year-olds. They've murdered 5-year-olds. They've done the most unthinkable things, like dogs eat 5-year-olds, all types of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we sit here today. This is why I say I can't give a pass after like 97 or whatever, like whatever year. I'm gonna say 1900, because why are we still baffled? Who needs the education on racism here?
Ask you that question. I think this is a yes or no question. And correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think the woman was wrong to do what she did to that child in that park?
I don't approve of that. But what I will say is that it's very important to understand the entire context of what led us to this position. Because again, Metcalf and Hendricks is a microcosm of a much larger problem. Earlier, we were talking about tribalism when you were mentioning Nick Fuentes' tweet. Here's the thing. Black people can be as tribal as they want to be. You have people like Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Umar Johnson running around about black power and marry black women and keep it in the hood and all this other stuff. But if white people assemble and say, you know what, white power, we need to keep our nation white, they're immediately ostracized and labeled as supremacists, and they get banned off every single platform. I find that interesting. And matter of fact, you went ahead.
Isn't that the same thing?
No.
Hey,
actually,
okay, stop the show. Hey, look how he jumbled Tariq Nasheed and Umar Johnson in the same character. See, that let you know that he didn't even do his study, and that let you know that he didn't give a damn about even studying. You know what I'm saying? This Negro was brought on there just to do what he do. You know what I'm saying? He was brought on there, and your answer to your question, you said about how you said it again about who need to be taught about racism. Ain't that how you said it, boy?
Yeah. Who needs to be taught?
Who needs to be taught about racism is black people. We do. We need to be taught about racism. I mean, and like I said, every day when I hear these Negroes running around here talking about the system, and all this old bullshit. It's things like I want to get the right words because I don't want to be okay. I'm gonna say it like this. Okay. I heard a brother who we know, like I said, a brother who we know, who claims to be a black nationalist or claims to have black consciousness. We just had a discussion, and we were talking about front lines on the battlefield, whatever. Now this brother's a school teacher. I'm like, and he a school teacher. And he said something. He said, "Well, since we're not in war now, how are you gonna be a school teacher, a black man, a school teacher teaching black children? You know what I'm saying? Teaching children. I know you teach other children too. I mean, this Americanism, this whole ideology of white nationalism, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what American history is, teaching white nationalism. How you gonna say some shit like we're not at war? And I don't give a fuck who don't like it. But I'm saying, how you gonna say we're not at war? That's a war right there. It's called a war in the classroom. Like Dr. Umar, I got his book, The Academic Holocaust. And I got the book about the conspiracy to destroy black boys. Rest in power to our brother who just recently passed not too long ago, Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu. What I'm saying, we need to learn about shit. See, we get too far on these other ideologies, on these outside ideologies that don't have nothing to do with us. You know what I'm saying? And we pick from this and that of what we want to take from it and incorporate it into our shit. You know what I'm saying? And we lose what we learned from Brother Malcolm. We lose what we learned from Dr. Bobby Wright. We lose what we learned from Dr. Amos Wilson. We lose what we learned from the Honorable Marcus Garvey. You know what I'm saying? About us rallying around us, our blackness, our race, our blackness, our Africanness, our whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? That first. Because that's what we fighting in a war for survival. These Negroes think that one day it's gonna be a utopian society and everything gonna be all right. That shit ain't gonna never happen. That's just as much a pipe dream as you thinking I ain't gonna have a black nation. You know what I'm saying? It's bullshit. And I'm saying we, especially we black people, African people here in this country, know who we think we know so much. And when I say that we, I'm not talking about the we like the me and you, Koku, you know what I'm saying? And people that revolutionary matron, consider, you know what I'm saying, people like us, we know what time it is. But I'm talking about Negroes who got a misguided view of this shit. You know, who going on some other bullshit, on some other ideologies and trying to define how we need to go with this bullshit. We need to be schooled on race. You know what I'm saying? On racism and what it really is. You know what I'm saying? We sit up here, like I said, we going to talk about our systems and all this old bullshit. If we just change the system, no, that's bullshit, man. We got a lot to learn, man. And we talked about our African brothers, our brothers from the continent or from the diaspora, talk about how they don't have this racial concept. Hell, when I see these Negroes talking like you see these Negroes talking, I say y'all the ones ain't got the concept. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I don't want to go on too long. Man, go get back to the program, man.
All right. No, yeah. And I'm about to wrap it up in a second now because I got to get off in a second. But I'll play just a little bit more.
No, it's not. Hold on, let me finish this. Black people practice the very racism they cry about. You guys can gather together and say Black Lives Matter, Black Power, but if white people get together and say white power and gather together, they're considered white supremacists and they get banned off every single platform. Why is it the KKK are banned off every platform for practicing white nationalism, but Black people are allowed to stand every single platform getting interviews on a Breakfast Club? Explain that to me. There's a two-tier situation here where Black people are able to benefit off of being racist while whites are not. And what we're dealing with right now in America is literally a backlash to this Black supremacy has been able to run around unchecked for a long time, and no one has the balls to call it out. Here's the other thing I want to say. Everyone's flipping out over Shiloh Hendricks and saying the N-word.
Can I make the point you just made, though?
No, hold on. Nobody flipped out like this when the United States was getting destroyed in 2020 because of Black protests destroying every liberal city in America. So I don't want to hear it about, she made $100,000 because she said the N-word. Who cares?
Wait, hold on. Wasn't it January 4th thing in 2020, or was that 2021? I don't know.
Yeah, 2021 was it?
I don't know. I don't really care. But they went past what they did. That's the point, you know. But I thought, yeah. So I ain't really remember the year.
They destroyed billions of dollars of structure because someone got killed who was a criminal. That's the problem in America. You guys get a privilege that no one else gets to enjoy. You could be racist.
Okay.
And
all right, I have to hang on. I'm going to hold it there. We've got another guest. Reasons for a full body workout,
and it's been a different.
Now this is the dude, and I'm gonna end it here. But right, this is the dude who got the website, right? And this is the point of creating your own things too, right? Because a lot of times these websites that we are funding each other on, right? We already know who they're owned by and controlled by, and we don't even want them making no money off of what we do, right? Which is the importance of Black people who are into like tech stuff. You know what I'm saying? When we was talking about all the tech shows and all that stuff, we should have been had a Black app there to raise money. Because, you know, just an idea, like some kind of app that does like the exchange like from in different African countries, you know what I'm saying, that have exchange between Black people in America or in Haiti or in different countries in Africa or wherever we may be, where we can exchange money with each other or resources or whatever it may be, you know what I'm saying, where we can literally buy something from them that is a resource, you know what I'm saying, that we don't have to, you know, we just go cut straight to the court, cut out the middleman, you know what I'm saying? But fools like this is in charge of these websites where they be raising all these money and making money off of us too.
To what seems to me to be a blatant hijacking of both of these fundraising host sites for different reasons, but definitely being hijacked by people for racist motivation.
No, I think that's completely correct, Pierce. I do think that there was an element here that did hijack, that came at this and really became a racist, tribalist element between the two campaigns. Independently of themselves, I think that they would have existed on our platform in a whole different manner, but because of the narratives around them and the proximity to each other, They created a life of their own, and it is unfortunate. It's sad to see, because as a Christian myself, what I respect about humanity and the image of God on us, I
you're a Christian too, so
believe that we're all valuable. I believe that people have dignity and worth, and we want to see that upheld for people, even in difficult moments. That's why our platform exists, is to share hope with people. And it's been a difficult week, several weeks of just navigating the complexity of these situations as a platform.
Repeatedly using the N-word, first of all, with a 5-year-old autistic child, it seems, then an adult who's filming her, doesn't care, is blatantly racist. Why should someone like that be allowed to raise any money on your site if, as you say, you are driven by a Christian purpose?
It sounds like a Christian thing to me.
Fascinating question. I would almost flip it around. It's like if we tried to create litmus tests for everybody to come onto a platform to use it.
Right. If we try to draw lines at white bitches calling black kids the N-word, we wouldn't have no customers. By the way, it was mostly white bitches who was spitting on Ruby Bridges, who was just trying to go to school, but it was also us sending Ruby Bridges to school. So I don't know, whose fault is it?
I pretty much could guarantee nobody would pass the litmus test, because the reality of humanity is that we're broke.
So pretty much nobody would not call a 5-year-old an N-word. So
broken. This is the whole principle of Jesus in the first place. He needed a savior, and that's what he came for.
So just to be clear, then,
down the road.
hang on, just to be clear. So that's interesting what you just said. So you would let anybody onto your platform to raise money for anything? Is that your position?
No, the position is that there are laws that define what is legal and what isn't legal, and we adhere to the laws as the framework for what is and isn't allowed.
But inciting racial hatred is a crime, right?
Wait, hold on. When he say laws, does he mean the Bible, or does he mean like the Constitution or like American laws? I don't know.
Inciting racial hatred is a crime?
Yeah.
Where?
You don't think it's a crime?
In the U.S.?
Yeah, it is.
I've never seen that as a law on the books, but
it is.
That was part of the
reason. I'm not even American.
Well, they actually lynched a lot of black people, claiming we was inciting racial violence when they was minding their own business, and it was this American law, right?
Hey, 4K. And check this out. I'm gonna give you one even better. I remember back in 1990. Okay, I can't remember exactly the year, but it was a young brother who was a high school basketball player who they tried to get him on one of those laws in South Carolina. It was North Carolina or South Carolina. They tried to get him on like inciting a mob thing, a mob, like a lynch mob. And guess who the brother's name was? Who the brother was?
Who's that?
His name, hold up, his brother, the name, he played in the NBA. His name was Kevin Garnett. They tried to get him on a lynch law. Yeah, Kevin Garnett. They tried to get him on say that he tried to incite a lynch mob against white people after a high school basketball game.
Yeah, you'll never guess that from him now. That's crazy.
So I'm just saying what he was talking about was bullshit, because it's happened before.
Yeah. Well, you could tell he lying, but they lie so easily, so we know they're telling the truth, right?
On the books, you're not allowed to incite racial hatred or violence against ethnic groups based on their ethnicity. What could be a more glaring example than someone on camera calling black people the N-word?
Violence and words are two different things, and we do make a distinction of that in America. They are very...
Yeah, you say the N-word, you get smacked in the face. Yeah, we're gonna make that distinction right now.
Very clearly different things. I don't know of any law. I'd be happy for you to inform me with what that law is, because I don't know everything. I'm happy to admit that. But as has already been mentioned on the show earlier, there are needs that exist outside of the reality of that moment for Shiloh. I don't condone the behavior. Obviously, we didn't see the actual behavior that was accused in the moment. What we saw was the aftermath of a kind of baited moment. And
yeah, but she carries
what
on
we
using the
realized-
N-word to a black person with impunity. That's a racist.
Yeah, well, she might have some racial element. I don't know. I don't know.
She could.
I
I don't know. She could possibly like have a history of lynching people, but I don't know.
But she uses
Hey, poor again. Look. It's this sister from the UK. Her name is Rennie Adams.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote a book called "I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race." Okay, see, this is what I'm saying. Oh, look here, you can't. Well, you know, okay, that's Pierce Brosnan. What is that? Pierce Hope, whatever. But I'm just saying, black people. One of the main mistakes I think we make is talking to these honkies about race. No, we'll go on platforms and talk about racism. Man, you don't need to talk to no crack about no goddamn race. You already know the shit they gonna come with. All of a sudden, the language that they speak, that they taught our black ass to speak, they no longer understand. You know what I'm saying? They can't understand plain English. They don't know what you're talking about. No, they confused. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're not ever gonna win an argument or prove a point to no cracker talk about race. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, going back to what you said, the motherfuckers who need to learn about race is us.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to show. And this is who we making money when we be like, oh, we need to raise money for this brother. And then if he cancels it and all that stuff, we'll be mad. But that's the point of creating your own platform so you don't get fools like this. Let him be rich, you know what I'm saying? Because that's still what we're doing. Even though it's good we support our brother, but you know, that's the owner of the website, you know.
N-word repeatedly to a black man, and she doesn't deny it, just used it to a 5-year-old black child. I'm not sure what more evidence you need that this person's a racist. And my question for you is simply, where is that line for you? You say it's the law,
Well,
but if somebody is literally raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to support them because they were blatantly racist, I'm just curious how that fits with the Christian ethos of what your site's supposed to be about.
Actually, fits Christians pretty good.
Well, it fits actually very well because we can, like I started to say, we don't operate on a litmus test of your past behaviors as far as the services that you get to provide. The moment that you start
current behaviors, you dummy.
We're not going to provide you electricity, water, because we don't like you. The structural elements, the movement of money, which is a basic element to society.
So let me just ask you this. So if someone was being blatantly anti-Semitic, for example, right, would you allow them to raise money on your platform to defend themselves over their anti-Semitism?
We sit in a very interesting position as a platform in trying to navigate the complexities of these issues. Well, we've stood on that principle of saying we're going to allow things that we disagree with.
Okay.
And we've allowed things that we completely disagree with.
Do you allow
on the
people to
platform.
do
Our
pro-abortion?
mission-
Do you allow pro-abortion fundraising?
Actually, there's two caveats to what GiveSendGo has carved out, and one of them is it's broken into two pieces, but it's the protection of children. So we say we're going to protect children because they don't.
Wait, the protection of children, but you talking about a 5-year-old, right? Or do they not see you as children? Oh, do they not see yours as children? Do they not ask questions? Why the babies? Did they ask each other why the babies? Hey, Napoleon, why the babies?
Your children are inhuman. Your children are monkeys, little monkeys.
Abraham Lincoln, why the black baby? Why you want to send the black babies out here, Abraham Lincoln? Because they're inferior to the white babies. This is what Abraham Lincoln said, by the way. George Washington, why the black children? Nobody said that, bro. They said, forget them all.
don't have a voice. So we're not going to allow fundraising for abortions on Give, Send, Go, and we're not going to allow fundraising for the transition of children.
Okay, but what about a
fundraising on Give,
5-year-old
Send, Go.
child
If
being?
you-
What about a 5-year-old black child being called the N-word?
What about that?
Where does the protection of that child come in?
Well, that's their parents' responsibility. That's like if
Oh, that's different. You talking about well, and I'm saying this words. Talking about a nigga baby. What are you talking about? You asking me why the children? You see, this is the conversation. Like, this is probably the first white dude in history to be like, "What about the black children?" And like, what? He can't even understand the question. Like, what? Why the black children? What? What are you talking about? Like, as parents' responsibility? No. I mean, that's
if my child, and I have several children, if my child was called something bad, I would take my child aside and I would tell them.
Well, you just said that one of the
what
caveats.
words
Hang on, you
mean.
just said one of the caveats for Give, Send, Go is the protection of children. You talked about the transitioning process. You talked about abortion, which is obviously your Christian perspective on that. And I'm simply saying, why doesn't it include children being racially abused? Why is that suddenly the parents' responsibility, not yours as a platform?
No, because there are campaigns that exist on Give,
You are
Send,
going to
Go.
make well, look, let me just spell it out to you. The way things are going, you're going to make a millionaire out of a woman who racially abused a child. And if your caveats are for
that's
protection,
incorrect.
well, hang on. Well, you are.
See, he kind of dumbfounded. He said, "Are you asking me why the babies? Like, are you about to be the first white boy to ever ask why the babies? Are you sick?"
Yeah, he's upset. He's upset that a fellow white man is questioning him.
Right. He's saying, "What about the babies?" And he's like, "What? I can't even comprehend what you're asking me right now." See, this is how y'all should have responded. Like, "What the hell are you talking about, bro? Well, why the babies? Huh? Why would you ask me that? I don't get it."
No, I'm not. Because one, we're a platform. We don't make donations to these campaigns. These are individuals that are making donations.
This person will
of their
become a
own volition.
millionaire
This is
because
not
of your
Give, Send-
platform.
No, it's not because of our platform. They could send checks and they could send money a million different ways to individuals.
But they're
Those-
using your
those
platform
avenues.
and you've already said to me you carve out things because you want to
Right.
protect children. I'm just curious, why is
Right.
racially abusing a child not one of your carve outs?
Well, what the campaign is fundraising for. So we have to make a distinction between what happens on Give, Send, Go and then what happens outside of Give, Send, Go. Because we can't police everything that happens outside of Give, Send, Go. All that we can police is what happens on Give, Send, Go.
Wait, what? What the hell he said? I don't even understand that one. I'm pretty good at that translation, but I don't even know what he said on that one.
So the two instances that I gave were about campaigns that if they were created on Give, Send, Go, that we would, for those scenarios, we would prevent. But things that happen outside of Give, Send, Go, we can't police around. So does someone have the right to raise funds for their security, for their protection, because they've been doxxed, because of a snapshot moment, because everyone has a camera in their pocket. And today we can see the outworking of this. 3 years ago in New York City, in the middle of the city, there was an altercation between.
Probably for your professional life,
No, I'm not saying,
for the
I'm
rest
not
of your
saying
professional
that,
life.
we understand that there are consequences. I understand there's consequences.
All right. We could be there here. Because I don't know what the hell he said. You have any idea what he just said just now?
No, I think you talk about utter nonsense right there, man. You know, we really could have ended that part of it a long time ago. So like you know what I'm saying, forget. Because like I say, man, you know, talking to white people about racism or even listening to them talk about racism is a waste of time. You know what I'm saying, my brother? It's a waste of time.
No, I feel
mean,
you.
It's good to hear and laugh at, but go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the problem is though, like, because I agree with you, but is for Black people to see. Even the platforms that we think we supporting each other on, like, and we get on Facebook and all this, who are you making rich through these platforms? And it's good that we support our brother, but we also need to start being technology savvy, right? To where we have our own platforms, so they can't just kick our whatever we doing and just kick it off or whatever because they say so, and then we be mad later.
Yeah. Okay. 4K. Let me get this shout out real quick. Give a shout out to Dr. Obadale Kambone, who has his own independent site, BB Toomey TV. Is a station that we could all go to and kick it with him and not get kicked off another and can say what we want to say. BB Toomey TV. BB Toomey is spelled ABIBITUMI TV. BB Toomey TV. He's based in Ghana. He's from New York City. He's a brother. He's an African born here, but he lives in Ghana now, and he's a professor at the University of Ghana. His name Obadale Kambone, and he has his own channel, BB Toomey TV. He has his channel. You can look it up and go to it, BB Toomey. You know, and we could broadcast from there. So we got channels. We got some stuff. So he got his channel. Okay. So shout out to him, to that brother right there. And I wanna, before we get up, because I don't wanna miss it before we forget about it. Man, let's give a shout out to our brother Koku and Koku's father, man, because Koku's father been going through a health crisis. You know what I'm saying?
Shouts out to Koku.
Yeah, last I talked to him, I think his father was doing a little bit better, but he's still in the zone and everything. So we want to give a shout out to Koku's father, man, and prayers up for Koku's family, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. Shouts out to Koku, and hopefully his dad get better real soon. You know, so we definitely want to put that positive energy out there for him. You know, so shouts out to Koku. And you want to wrap anything else up to say other than that?
Oh yeah, okay, man. So pretty much, hey man, it was a great show. It was a great show as usual. 4K, you know, we always have a great show, man. So, you know, shout out to you, man. I want to say a shout out to your grandma, man. You know, for living the full life that she lived and for doing all of the great things that she did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna say it in the African. I'm gonna say it the African way, man. You know, from Zika Kwai and Gubu to her, that means rest in power, grandma. Rest in power, grandma. Rest in power, BB. You know what I'm saying? So you know, peace to her, man. Yeah, peace to her, man. You know, and peace to our sister Cassandra, man. I know she didn't get a chance to come on and get on tonight. You know, peace to the matron, man. It's everybody listening, man, under the sound of our voices, man. You know, and who support the show and everything. And I just like, you know, I had my mom, my mom, she's going through her little things too, man. And but she's doing good though, man. She's doing good. You know, we've been having to, I've been having to be on duty and everything, to help out over there, But my mom has multiple sclerosis, man, and my mom is like 77, you know what I'm saying? And so, it's a trying thing, but but we gonna handle it and everything. Everything good, we ain't crying about it. I don't know. I just want to ask all my brothers and sisters here on the panel, man, and in the chat, the hold her in prayer, man. Think about it. Them prayers, them ancestors' prayers, they work, man. And the prayers for my people, man. And that's pretty much it, man. And I just like I said, man, I don't mean no harm when I say certain things that I say, but we gotta hold brothers and sisters who come with bullshit accountable. You know what I'm saying? We gotta hold them accountable, man. And we have to hold ourselves accountable, each other accountable. If I say, hey, if I'm doing some shit, I'm full of shit, hold me accountable. Challenge me on that. I ain't got no problem with that. Man, like I said, man, nigga, my name is Anthony Ramon McPhail. You know what I'm saying? I live at 630 West 66th Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. And my phone number is 318-750-4152. You can come see.
Don't put all your stuff out there.
It don't matter, man, because they already know anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, man, great show, man. Peace and blessings and everything, man. And I'm gonna get with you when we get together, man.
Yeah, facts. And yo, shouts out to your mom. Hope your mom get better like real soon, and definitely put that positive energy out there. So shouts out to you, shouts out to her for real, and shouts out to Koku, shouts out to his dad. Hopefully, they get better too. And I appreciate what you said about my grandma too. And I agree with you. Shouts out to that. And yeah, shouts out to Matron. She gonna be live tomorrow, I think, at 7 o'clock. So make sure y'all subscribe. She got a little bit of different schedule this week. But if y'all subscribe and just hit the notification, y'all should get it. I know YouTube be tripping, but make sure y'all subscribe to Matron Thing. And shouts out to Raw in the building. I appreciate you being in here, Raw, showing so much love. Shouts out to Jermaine Thompson. Appreciate you for being in here. Much love. Shouts out to my brother Bakari. Definitely appreciate you. Definitely shouts out to Considerate. We're gonna be back Wednesday. We're gonna talk more about that topic. And everybody else too. Everybody that was listening. I definitely shouts out to y'all. And for the last words, you already know. It's gonna be this brother's last words here.
America has a very serious problem. Not only does America have a very serious problem, but our people have a very serious problem. America's problem is us. We're her problem. The only reason she has a problem is she doesn't want us here. And every time you look at yourself, be you black, brown, red, or yellow, a so-called Negro, you represent a person who poses such a serious problem for America because you're not wanted. Once you face this as a fact, then you can start plotting a course that will make you appear intelligent instead of unintelligent. What you and I need to do is learn to forget our differences. When we come together, we don't come together as Baptists or Methodists. You don't catch hell because you're a Baptist, and you don't catch hell because you're a Methodist. You don't catch hell because you're a Methodist or a Baptist. You don't catch hell because you're a Democrat or a Republican. You don't catch hell because you're a Mason or an Elk. And you sure don't catch hell because you're an American, because if you was an American, you wouldn't catch no hell. You catch hell because you're a black man. You catch hell, all of us catch hell for the same reason. So we are all black people, so-called Negroes, second-class citizens, ex-slaves. You are nothing but an ex-slave. You don't like to be told that. But what else are you? You are ex-slave. You didn't come here on the Mayflower. You came here in a slave ship, in chains, like a horse or a cow or a chicken. And you were brought here by the people who came here on the Mayflower. You were brought here by the so-called pilgrims or founding fathers. They were the ones who brought you here. We have a common enemy. We have this in common. We have a common oppressor, a common exploiter, and a common discriminator. So once we all realize that we have this common enemy, then we unite on the basis of what we have in common. And what we have foremost in common is that enemy, the white man. He's an enemy to all of us. I know some of you all think that some of them aren't enemies. Time will tell. In Bandung, back in, I think, 1954, was the first unity meeting in centuries of black people. And once you study what happened at the Bandung Conference and the results of the Bandung Conference, it actually serves as a model for the same procedure you and I can use to get our problem solved. At Bandung, all the nations.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there, and y'all definitely listen to him. So shouts out to Malcolm X and happy birthday to him, 100 years old today. And let his memory, his image, his symbolism mean what it's supposed to mean. You know what I'm saying? And I need to let that be for the same for my ancestors and all of your ancestors and our ancestors combined. Let it mean what it's supposed to mean and stand on their shoulders and accomplish the goal. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we are all we got. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.